Now, there are some unique considerations and super common missteps when it comes to B2B SaaS plus customization. So first and foremost, one of those is you've got to really think about your revenue strategy. I want to see that customization repeatable around very common problems at a customer or a very specific vertical. And then you also need to start thinking about common deal sizes and what are you actually chasing? Because what can happen in this business model is you'll say yes to anything. So you're hoping to build your SaaS model, but customization pulls you away from the focus that you need in order to really make sure that you have strong positioning there. How many of each? Where are we going to get them? Common deal sizes. And then those specific numbers of deals then reverse engineer into the types of lead gen tactics that you then knit together in order to be really specific. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Dacia Coffey.
And I'm Daisy McCarty.
Today's topic is the best lead generation tactics for SaaS companies. And of course, this is the Marketing Blender Show, so we're talking about B2B SaaS companies. And so this is really exciting, but we're not going to stay generic for you because there are slightly different business models that we're going to go after. And there's actually 3 of them that we're really going to be diving into. So first of all, of course, we've got SaaS only, so product focus. We are going to cover B2B SaaS plus customization, and then we're going to cover B2B SaaS plus consulting. So I really love the differentiation because when it comes to lead gen tactics, this is a very cool way to really think about how does the business model change what you do and how do you really get traction in the market. So you ready to jump in?
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Okay. We have to just start with SaaS only. So when we're talking about that, let's just go ahead and level set with everybody. What's our definition?
So SaaS only is a business model that expects customers to basically self-serve throughout the cycle because they're just selling the product. It's going to be something that may have different feature sets offered at different prices, but it is one platform, one solution, and everyone is expected to use it as is. So there may be a freemium version, and it's going to be scalable and profitable revenue that's driven 100% by subscription to the software.
Yeah, this is hardcore do-it-yourself lead generation where the lead is guiding themselves through a structured environment to make a purchasing decision and then implement on their own. So very repeatable, high valuation possibility, and that means high volume. So what kind of leads does a B2B SaaS only business model need? Volume, lots of them. So, and Daisy had mentioned that there is a freemium version. So the name of the game is volume. And even if they're not ready to buy right now, it's about the volume that's high enough to build a consistent and high producing pipeline. So pretty straightforward.
Yes. And you just have to have realistic expectations. Most people are not going to use the paid version.
Yeah, not first. That's right.
But getting them onto the free version is what anchors them to your product so you can continue to nurture, and eventually convert more of those people into the paid version. So I'd love to talk about some of my favorite tactics.
Love it.
For pure SaaS only, where this is like the holy grail.
Yeah.
Like every SaaS company would secretly love to have this business model, but it's not an easy one to build. And you have to be really willing to put the effort and the resources into it. So first of all, there's organic SEO. Because any SaaS-only company has a long-term growth strategy, it's not going to be a few deals that make or break them. It's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals. They're going to have to build organic SEO over time. So they're really anchoring their spot in the market in terms of visibility, but also with an eye toward traffic. So visibility alone is not going to create any lead generation. You have to get people on the website because that's where you convert them at least into the free version. So the website needs to be really well optimized to trigger signups at every potential opportunity. So it's really about how do I maximize conversions on the website through driving traffic with organic SEO.
Yeah.
The second one is obviously paid SEO. So you want to win the paid SEO game. So that's pay-per-click ads, Google search intent ads. And you also want to make sure that you're not just appearing for the problem or solution in your space, but you want to appear above your competitors' brand names.
Yeah.
You have to be there and you have to be willing to pay to get there. And this is one of the fastest ways to bring in high volume leads, and it's often one that's scalable. So you just turn up the volume on it, and that's going to be a repeatable and predictable way to bring in more leads. Now, for SaaS-only companies, 15% is not unusual in terms of the percentage of revenue that needs to be spent on marketing. There are some fast-growing SaaS companies that will spend 50% of their OpEx on marketing and sales because guess what? They've built the thing. They're not doing a bunch of custom work for anybody. So it's all about how much can I sell?
100%. This is not if you build it, they will come. This is if you market it well, you will have a successful business.
Yes, marketing and sales is the thing that matters.
Yep.
You know, above and beyond the innovation, you have to be able to sell it.
Yep.
Content marketing is still appropriate for this type of business, but don't think about gated content. Your content needs to be really free, really accessible. You want people to consume and share, consume and share, consume and share. Because again, this is not about weeding out your poor fit customers. This is about literally getting in front of every single person who could make a yes decision. And then just making sure that you're supporting your lead ecosystem with brand campaigns. So people do need to know what the brand is before they trust it enough to use it, even if it's a low lift. So those larger social media campaigns are important too.
Exactly. And I feel like that third one is how you get your full ecosystem really working after your SEO and your digital marketing is gaining some traction. It's how you really amplify those results, because familiarity is a common heuristic that makes people trust you faster subconsciously, and you cannot be leaving that critical component on the table once you're past your initial launch phase. So really important to layer in that to maximize lead gen. So I think I'd love to bring up a couple of like special considerations around lead gen for SaaS only, and also super common missteps that we see. So, one of the first things that we see is with pretty much every SaaS company, the very first call to action is watch a demo or book a demo. Now we're talking do it yourself type of marketing model. So it's typically not book a demo, but a lot of times the demo is not structured from the point of view that the potential buyer wants to experience. So you've got to think, what kind of time frame are they willing to actually invest, and then choreograph your demo and your touches so that they are spending the proper amount of time and they're more comfortable saying yes to maybe a 1 minute or a 3 minute video versus something much more cumbersome. So really thinking about the buyer's journey that they need to go through. So I just see this as a really common misstep on the demo side.
Yes. Again, it's a staged sale from trusting it enough to learn about it, to trusting enough to try the free version, to really starting to enjoy it and trusting it enough to actually spend money on it. So trying to go straight to everybody needs to come on our website and pay for the software. Right now, it's an unrealistic expectation. It sets up a marketing and sales journey that feels very high pressure to the recipient.
And that translates to a horrible user experience. And holy cow, if there's a bad user experience during that pre-decision, guess what message you're sending to your future customers? I mean, that's just not a very good brand statement. So you want people that every time they're engaging with, your touch points, that it's whispering, hey, we're delighting you now. This is exactly the kind of thoughtfulness that's gone into our product. And so there's going to be some really strong alignment on the user experience component as well. And I think sometimes we see a break in how much care and attention they gave to that on the product side and how little they do on, the marketing side. So really, really important. Are you a CEO of a business-to-business company? Maybe you're a sales leader or a salesperson, or maybe you're in business-to-business marketing. Well, if so, I wrote a book for you, and it's called Corporate Caffeine. Business-to-business marketing is different, but there are certain predictable fundamental principles that will help you unleash your organizational potential and fill your pipeline sustainably. So you can find my book on Audible, on Amazon, on barnesandnoble.com, or any of your favorite retailers. Hope you enjoy it, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
So I'd like to talk about SaaS plus customization as the next category of B2B SaaS when it comes to lead generation. So with SaaS plus customization, you've got the core product, and it has like most of the functionality, like 80% of your customers are going to use this functionality, or it fulfills like 80% of customer expectations. But you've also got some customization, especially around setup. There's some development. There's often custom integration. So there's usually an onboarding piece of the engagement that's unique to each customer. And you may also have customer-driven development, where if a customer comes to you and you're like, this is a big enough customer for us to do custom development, then you try and take that custom developed piece and commercialize it so you can sell it to more of your customers. So the business model is still around driving revenue and profitability through the subscription side, and then costs for custom development and onboarding are usually just intended to cover the cost to the business. That's not where the profitable revenue is coming from. So this is another situation where people can make some decisions that make or break their business. So what kind of leads do they need to get?
Gosh, consistent ones. And it's not just about consistent, because I'm worried that people will think, oh, consistent lead flow. I mean, really intentional targeting of where the customization is going to come from. If you have a SaaS plus customization model and you are allowing your company and your sales force to position you that you will customize anything, anywhere, that is going to kill your profit margin. So if you have customization as part of your SaaS model, I would love to see companies focusing on very specific verticals, very specific places where that repeatability is core and benefits your bottom line while driving increased value for the customer. It's easier to market, easier to sell, and easier to really protect the special thing about your business so that it drives an increased valuation for you.
I'd agree with that. There are a number of different types of lead gen that tend to work really well for the SaaS plus customization model. First one is going to be pay-per-click. So search intent, just like for the SaaS-only model, but you're going to need to pair that with two things. Number one, you're going to need to do ad retargeting, because people who are looking for SaaS plus customization are very likely to make no decision at all. So having that consistent follow-up, even if they didn't buy from you, they probably didn't buy from someone else. You need the retargeting with your ads, but you also need high-touch sales outreach. And this is the part where SaaS plus customization companies don't like to hear that, because they think, well, we could just act like a SaaS only company and just have marketing automated follow-up. Nope, you've got to get on the phone. You've got to be sending emails. You've got to be social selling on LinkedIn. You have to be doing the high touch outreach in addition to your ad retargeting to stay top of mind and to build relationship. Another area to look at is review sites. So Trust Radius, G2, areas where B2B buyers who have to do more due diligence and really dig in, they can't just get like a free trial and use it and decide if it works. There's going to be some organizational change management that comes with their decision. They're going to be looking at trusted review sites. So it's a pay-to-play environment to a certain extent, but the more reviews you actually have posted by your brand champions on those sites, and the more specific those reviews are about how their problem is being solved by your software and what's the process of that customization and onboarding. How did the deployment go? How did the integrations go? The more trust you're going to be able to build there. And then obviously events and conferences can play a role, but we see a lot of companies waste money here.
100%.
You have to make sure you've got the right people at the right volume in those events, and you have to make sure your pre-show marketing, your post-show marketing, and your booth choreography are really nailed down, or you will waste a lot of money there. And then finally, one of my favorite tactics for the SaaS plus customization model is co-sponsored events. So things like webinars, where you're able to leverage your co-sponsor's audience in order to generate leads. Those tend to be very high quality leads. You're getting much lower cost access to a high quality target market. And obviously you're able to bring more value to your ecosystem of partners. So definitely look at, the other companies, the other businesses out there where you're integrating with their software. Are there ways that you can go to market together?
Yeah, I love these, and it's such a sustainable, high value component. So really great ones. Now, there are some unique considerations and super common missteps when it comes to B2B SaaS plus customization. So first and foremost, one of those is you've got to really think about your revenue strategy. Earlier, I mentioned repeatability. I want to see that customization repeatable around very common problems at a customer or a very specific vertical. And then you also need to start thinking about common deal sizes and what are you actually chasing? Because what can happen in this business model is you'll say yes to anything. So you're hoping to build your SaaS model, but customization pulls you away from the focus that you need in order to really make sure that you have strong positioning there. So really being clear, how many of each, where are we going to get them, common deal sizes, and then those specific numbers of deals, then reverse engineer into the types of lead gen tactics that you then knit together in order to be really specific. Now, the next one, of course, is that this influences your sales cycle. So I also want to see repeatability in your sales cycle, because if you're doing that customization properly, then I want to see a really highly operationalized sales process where those sales folks are so consistent in guiding and scoping and really being thoughtful and intentional about why customization brings additional value and why it's actually needed versus your off-the-shelf offering. Now, the great thing is this is literally your value in action. But the second component is, wow, sales and operations alignment. And this is absolutely critical because this can be so harmful when salespeople are pitching, but it's actually harming your operational efficiency and your output and your value. So really want to see a lot of thoughtfulness on choreographing that component. And then a couple other things that we've run across is that sometimes that customization is actually cultural to a company. They love to reinvent the wheel. They love to come up with unique solutions. They love collaborating. Now, that's interesting because then it has a lot to do with the culture of the folks that you end up landing, because then they want customization, but you might not be well suited if it's cultural for an enterprise type of client where they are very used to high structure, high repeatability, and healthy bureaucracy. I know that sounds really weird, but those corporate cultures can really cause a lot of problems. And you might be surprised when you think we should be winning this deal, but then the customer realizes there's a massive value misalignment around how you go to business. Because for me, the thinking is customization for now or is it forever? And that's a very big strategic decision that I really just want people to be making intentionally, because it's not that one's right or wrong. It's that not being decisive about this will kill your profit on it.
I'd agree. I would say probably SaaS plus customization is the poorest fit for enterprise.
Agreed.
They like SaaS only. This is one product. It's being really well maintained. There's one version of it. We're not having to maintain a separate version of it. Or they want our third category, which is SaaS plus consulting.
Yes.
So in B2B, SaaS plus consulting is usually a workflow automation play, or more likely a full digital transformation play. So this kind of company has created a SaaS platform or product, but they are fully wrapping it in high ticket consulting. And while they can bring in profitable revenue from the SaaS model, their highest profit margin and the big deals that they're excited about are the consulting. So they're often using the availability of that SaaS platform as a hook for marketing and sales to land those big deals.
Yeah, and when it comes to lead generation, when you have SaaS plus consulting, this is about lead quality. And the reason is because this is translating into specialization around the very specific problem, whether it's an implementation problem, a user adoption problem, but you really have deep insights very specific to your target market. And so the quality of those that you really aligned ahead of time with what they need and the problems that they could face moving forward, absolutely critical to your effective lead generation.
So with this type of SaaS plus consulting company, you do want to have content marketing as a core pillar, and it does need to be gated content. So you need to be putting in the time and the effort and the resources to create really high quality, high value content that is worthy of that email and phone number and name and company and all the fields you want filled out, because you really want to make sure you're getting the right people into your pipeline that aren't going to waste your salespeople's time. This is typically the type of company where you have, sales at the heart of what you do, and you're paying those folks a lot of money. You want to make sure they're not spinning their wheels with tire kickers. Excuse the mixed metaphor. Yeah. So in-person speaking engagements are also a really, really high quality lead generation tactic for this type of company, because you're typically solving very complicated problems, which most people don't understand very well, which means there's a high opportunity for education, and it means that you're solving really, really hard problems, so people are willing to spend the time. And once you get in front of a room of people like that, you are the authority. You've shown that you care about them enough to create that content and to come and deliver it in person, and it's a really fast path to accelerating those closed deals.
Yeah.
I would say also the final one for this sector is peer introductions and referrals. Because these are high ticket and high risk engagements, there needs to be a lot of trust. And some of that trust comes from the advisors that are already touching the prospects that you want to reach. You're also often trying to get in front of target personas that are hard to reach in other ways. And we sometimes see that with SaaS plus consulting companies, they actually need to target most of their marketing and sales efforts toward cultivating their referral network.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you think about the buyer journey, because sometimes the buyers here will have been people that have gotten burned with other software implementations prior to this. So they're bringing a very different context to the table that this type of company is amazing at overcoming, as long as they've really thought through that buyer's journey. So I think for me, some of the common missteps and special considerations is that, you have to build positioning and value around both sides of this business. Like, I don't want to just see consulting as a bolt-on to the SaaS product, because then it's going to really struggle, and I feel like it's going to add cognitive load. It's going to overwhelm people and start to get murky in the sales process. So really making sure that you're positioning both sides of this business model is so important. And then the other common, it's not really a misstep, but just special considerations, is really getting inside of the mind of the buyer and making sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Sometimes they know they want consulting, but oftentimes they won't. And so you have to be ready for that, to be able to reframe their point of view around how they're looking at that software purchase, and how this drives more value or decreases risk or increases ROI and outcomes. But you've got to be very predictive around what it takes to be successful and to really align with those top buyers inside of that buying committee.
And I would say for this type of company, if they were focusing on a client that just wants the software, that's kind of the freemium or the trial version for them before they invest in the consulting. It's like, if your base software can't solve, X, Y, and Z problems, then why would I pay you all this extra money to, fix everything else? So that's another way to look at that type of dichotomy in clients that are looking for consulting because they want to be guided through the process, and companies that want to a starting place and then to have really strong support going forward if things work out the way they want.
Yeah, exactly. And I find the one final thing, a misstep, is that this business model is conducive to thought leadership. They know it. Everybody in the company knows it. They have a very unique point of view, possibly in the market, around what's going right and what's going wrong. But it can be a distraction from lead generation if it's not done well, because thought leadership in and of itself is usually not hardcore lead generation. But what I do want to see, those videos, those podcasts, those articles, really being a sales enablement component that more quickly supports, that lead generation process and nurtures them into that client role. So, I just always want to balance, like, what's the role of thought leadership, because people can get really carried away with that component.
Very true.
You guys, as you can see, there are some nuances when it comes to B2B SaaS marketing and sales. But I want to, for a moment, just wrap it up and bring it back to the heart. The one through line of everything that we've talked about has been ruthless, clear, passionate focus on that buyer's experience. Where are they? What are they really purchasing? Because they're not purchasing software. They're purchasing a solution or an efficiency or a replacement. And the things that they're worried about are not always the widgets around your tool, but the components and the aspects and the context in which they are going to be implementing that software. So this is so much diligence around knowing the market, making extremely strategic decisions, and using that target market, especially when you niche down, for every single decision. Because this then is not only wildly effective leadership and servant leadership, it's wildly effective marketing and sales that will increase your value and your position in the market, as well as your profit and your lead generation flow. So you guys, thank you so much for hopping into this really fun, really fast-paced topic today. And you guys, if you liked what you heard, please hit that subscribe button. We love your comments and your feedback. So please hit us up in those comments as well. And we will see you next week. Onward and upward.